Pretty good.
Is it time to call Dad? Is it now? Or?
Yeah, he should be coming over soon, so just drop him another message to remind him.
Should we bring the chairs down?
When did you first meet each other?
We always say it's online on Xbox, maybe 15 years ago in middle school. So it probably is online, yeah. Or maybe like first week of like secondary school, year 7.
He says that because he was too cool to talk to me in the playground. That's what it was.
I was not a cool kid, I guess.
You were cool. What are you talking about? He was like this kind of chubby Chinese kid that was like super funny.
Got the riz.
It had the riz.
One of the most fantastic things I discovered about Raj in our friendship is if he cares about you, there's a zone of it's just pure transparency, and it's very rare to get to that level. You'd consider that with, say, your spouse or your family, but Raj picks his family, and that's a beautiful thing. It's incredible, yeah.
And he came home one day and said, "Oh, I'm going to pack it all in and I'm going to set up this startup." And quite frankly, I was amazed.
What will it actually take to fix the NHS? Right? What will it actually take?
Raj and Pete are co-founders of Health Tech One, a health tech startup built within Raj's parents' GP surgery.
I love it. It's not this fancy startup office. It's like a real practice, you know.
This series follows their journey from working together out of an East London flat to building a tech product used by over 10% of GP surgeries across the UK. Before starting their first business, Raj and Pete discussed the idea with their parents.
This is my dad.
I mean, he had a good job in Accenture. He'd been there for 4 years and he had a good career path. And I thought he'd done very well for himself. And then he came home one day and said, "Oh, I'm going to pack it all in and I'm going to set up this startup." And quite frankly, I was amazed.
Yeah, my dad was so against it. Oh my god, he was so anti. He'll pretend now and I always knew.
I knew this was the first step of many.
I said, "Well, you won't be able to get a mortgage for 5 years. If your business is successful, you'll be living in rental accommodation."
Raj and Pete decide to go ahead and start their first business. Their plan was to create a growth agency called 2020, named after the year the company was founded. On New Year's Eve of 2019, a cluster of pneumonia cases is reported in Wuhan, China.
We start on the 1st of Jan 2020. Was the day we all like tightened it up. We were like, we've got to start on the 1st.
Yeah, we go out the night before actually.
Yeah, and then we end up getting the papers and like the company registry is actually the 2nd, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's something like that. It was like, we got too drunk to make it work.
Just as the boys are getting their first business off the ground, little did they know that COVID was starting to take hold in the UK. And as the situation worsens, Raj's parents and their GP surgery start coming under immense pressure.
Susan, my wife, said to Raj, "Look, we've got COVID. We're really, really struggling because patients can't come in, and we could do with some more digital help."
I was like, no. And the reason why I was like, no, is because it sounds so bad. I can even say this. It hurts to even say this, but helping out mum and dad felt like I was getting a freebie. Oh, great! I've quit my job to build a company, not to help mum and dad out in the GP practice. That's actually when mum spoke to Pete, right?
I immediately identified what was going on, which is an experience that I've been through. Family and association with family business is of shame, is of embarrassment, and I experienced this myself as a takeaway kid. So I grew up in a takeaway with mum and dad, and all I want to do is go play football, go see my friends, play games. But here I am on Friday night, on hold or on the counter of a takeaway, and difficult childhood in that regard. But that was embarrassing. That was not of pride. That was shameful in some regards. But I'd been on a journey where shame turned into pride, effort in that turned into honor, and it was an incredible experience. And then here I saw like a best friend of mine essentially shunning his family. I'm like, no, this is like a beautiful moment that needs to be talked about. I remember in the flat, we then sat aside and kind of like went through a rational and emotional conversation, which ended up in tears. Let's give this a shot. If they're gonna hire a different consultancy to do some work, they're not gonna do as good of a job as we can. We're gonna give it our all. So at the very minimum, we're gonna give our all to a practice that needs help during COVID. That's the worst case scenario. But in the grand case, like, there's a connection to family honor, and that is incredibly beautiful. And like very emotionally, it's like, please don't reject mum and dad, is essentially what I'm saying. Like they are coming with love, and let's be honorable with that offer.
Somehow she convinced them to come and help us find some solutions or look at some problems.
After 2 weeks of absorbing and learning and interviewing, Raj develops essentially like a process map of the whole GP practice, and they include opportunities. So Raj is talking about, triage, if you want to request websites, internal databases, there's like loads of potential projects.
We reskinned the website really quickly. We've completely re-architected their triage system, so how they receive medical requests from patients and how those requests get triaged, so how we decide which patient sees a doctor versus who sees a nurse, who sees a social prescriber, or who gets referred to pharmacy, for example. Beforehand, it was just like call up at 8 o'clock and wait in line. Patients were all upset because they're 15-minute wait queues. Now we manage 3,000 online requests every single week, right? From that little team, we got made into a national blueprint. It was just like really crazy how quickly we could have a massive impact.
Then after this kind of experience, maybe 6 months in, as we're tailing off, on this map, Raj brings home one day, like, I've got a gut feeling about this project, patient registrations. There's something here.
Here's Raj Kohli to explain how patient registrations work.
In order to get access to healthcare, first you need to be registered with a GP practice in this country. The way you get registered is that you can either fill out a paper form and give it to your GP practice, or you can fill out an online form. But no matter whether you fill in paper or an online form, some poor receptionist has to manually key all those data points into a clunky clinical system. But it's a really important process because it determines how GP practices get paid, because they're a lot like a gym membership actually. It's interesting. They get paid about £163 per patient per year. So they have this real incentive to want to drive up registrations.
I think one really foundational moment is when I think we are hungry one night doing our project, living in Dalston together. We were living and working together at this point in time, and we're like, let's get a curry, sure. And it all comes within 10 minutes. How can we get a curry delivered to our door in 10 minutes? But a registration form takes 6 weeks. We have backlogs up to 6 weeks.
Taking 100 data points and putting it into one system, right? Why is that so fucking hard, right? And why has nobody done this before? And surely somebody should have done this before, right?
There's a lot of those moments.
Yeah, why the fuck is no one done
fax
this?
machines? What? Paper? What?
I mean, at least doctors are thought of and respected. They're they've got that level of respect, right? But the admin staff in GP practice, people don't give them that respect, and they feel it. These people are so underserved by society. The technology they work with is ridiculous. The pay is shit.
Get abused at the front desk.
Abused at the front desk, no gratitude from patients. And that's the thought, these are the people we can help. And that's when we thought, oh my God, we can, I think we can automate this.